Okay, so we're diving into AI today. AI frontiers. It's a big topic, huh?
It really is. And it's moving so fast.
I mean, where do we even, start?
Well, we could start with the innovations, like the stuff coming out of Microsoft research with these smaller language models.
Smaller. I thought bigger was always better in the AI world.
Not necessarily. Think about it. Smaller models mean less computing power, more accessible.
So, like, AI on my phone.
Exactly. Personalized AI assistants, AI tools for learning, even for, creative writing, all on your phone.
Wow. That is a game changer.
Yeah.
But let's talk about a field where AI is already making a real difference. Healthcare.
Right. Like Dr. David Rue has been saying, AI could really empower both patients and doctors.
In what way?
Well, for patients, AI could help them track symptoms, or manage chronic conditions.
That makes sense. And for doctors.
It can really streamline things, analyzing medical images, maybe even predicting patient outcomes.
So the doctors can actually focus on, well, doctoring.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
More personalized care.
It all sounds great. But what about the issue of bias in algorithms? We hear about that a lot.
Absolutely. That's a huge concern. The data used to train these models needs to be diverse, representative, and we need ways to catch and fix bias.
Like the work that Hannah Wallach is doing, measuring AI's impact on society. Important stuff.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about practical applications, ethical concerns. Let's get a bit more technical for a minute.
You mean like deep learning? That always sounds so mysterious.
And it isn't. Think of it like teaching a computer to learn, but from massive amounts of data. Kind of like we learn from experience.
So we're trying to make computers think like humans.
Not quite. We're a long way from that. But we are getting closer to AI that can do more and more complex stuff like image recognition, natural language understanding.
It's amazing to see researchers like Chris Bishop and Ashley Lawrence pushing the boundaries there. Like AI reasoning, that's another level, right?
It is. Chris Bishop talks about AI needing to go beyond just the data, like being able to reason about the data, make inferences.
So not just seeing a cat, but understanding why it's doing what it's doing.
Yeah, and Ashley Lawrence stresses the need for transparency. If AI is making decisions, we have to know how it's getting there.
Especially in like healthcare or finance. Big consequences.
Right. Explainable AI. XAI. That's a whole field focused on making AI transparent and understandable. Building trust.
This is a lot, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface. But we're out of time for this segment.
It's incredible, really. AI in healthcare. I mean, it's not just theory anymore. It's really making a difference.
You were talking about Dr. Rube before. What kind of things is he excited about?
Personalized medicine, like really personalized. Tailored treatments based on your genes, your lifestyle.
That sounds futuristic.
It's getting there. AI can analyze huge amounts of data, genetics, medical records, even things like what you eat, how much you exercise.
And that helps determine the best treatment.
Exactly. It can even help spot things doctors might miss, like, subtle problems in an X-ray or an MRI.
AI as a second set of eyes. That's amazing.
And it frees up doctors to, spend more time with patients. Less paperwork, less admin stuff.
More human connection. That's important.
It is. And we can move from just reacting to illness to actually preventing it.
Wow. That's a big shift. But what about the ethics of all this? Patient data is really sensitive.
Right. Privacy and security are absolutely key. We need systems that are really, really strong, and transparency is important too.
It sounds like we still have a lot to figure out.
We do. But let's shift gears a bit again. Remember we were talking about Chris Bishop and Ashley Lawrence?
Yeah, the deep learning guys.
They're both really fascinated by how far we can push deep learning. Chris Bishop especially, he talks about AI needing to reason about the world.
Reason. What does that even mean for a computer?
Well, it's not just about learning from the data anymore. It's about understanding the connections, making deductions, even coming up with new ideas.
It's like actually thinking.
It's heading in that direction. One of the big challenges is context, common sense. We do it without even thinking, but it's really hard for machines.
I can imagine. We humans don't even realize how much we just know.
Right. But areas like natural language processing, computer vision, they're getting better. AI is starting to get the nuances.
That's incredible. But, I mean, if AI is making decisions that affect us, don't we need to know how it's deciding?
That's what Ashley Lawrence is all about. Explainable AI, making sure we can understand the process so we can trust the decisions.
Especially with things like healthcare or loans or even the justice system.
Exactly. High-stakes decisions need transparency.
Okay, explainable AI. Got it. That's a big one. But let's go back to something we talked about before, the impact of all this on society.
It's a big one for sure. I mean, AI has the potential to solve some massive problems: climate change, disease.
But also, job losses, bias,
Yeah.
maybe even AI being used for bad stuff.
Right. And that's where Hannah Wallach's work is so important, figuring out how to measure the impact so we know what we're dealing with.
So basically, approach AI with cautious optimism.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It's a powerful tool, but like any tool, it depends how we use it.
We've covered so much ground here.
Mm.
But there's one more thing I wanted to touch on. Robotics.
Mm.
What's happening there?
Yeah, robotics. It's not just about clunky machines anymore. AI is bringing a whole new level of, well, intelligence to
Yeah,
robotics.
and I've seen some of those videos online,
Yeah.
like robots doing surgery
Uh,
or painting. It's kind of freaky, but also amazing.
it is pretty wild. And it's going to get even more so as AI keeps getting better. More complex tasks, more, almost human-like abilities.
Okay, but seriously, what does this mean for jobs? Are we all going to be replaced by robots?
I get why people are worried about that. And yeah, some jobs will probably be automated. But you have to think about it. AI and robotics are also going to create new jobs.
Like what?
Well, you'll need people to design the robots, build them, maintain them, even train them.
So it's not just robots versus humans. It's more complicated than that.
Way more complicated. It's a shift. We need to be ready to adapt, learn new skills.
Lifelong learning, right? Always have to be one step ahead.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because as AI and robotics become more and more a part of our lives, we have to think about the bigger picture.
The social impact.
Yeah, the economic impact. How do we make sure everyone benefits? How do we avoid mass unemployment?
Big questions. No easy answers.
Nope. It's going to take a lot of work. Education, training, maybe even things like a universal basic income.
It feels like we're at this turning point. Like everything's changing so fast.
We are, definitely. And we get to decide, to some extent, how this all plays out.
Okay, so big topic, AI. We've talked about innovations, the impact on things like healthcare, the ethical concerns, the future of work. Anything else our listeners should be thinking about?
I think the main thing is just to stay engaged. AI is not going away. It's only going to get more powerful, more integrated into our lives. So the more we understand it, the better prepared we'll be.
So keep learning, keep asking questions.
And don't be afraid to have those tough conversations about what kind of future we want and how AI can help us get there. Or, not help us, depends on the choices we make.
Right. Well said. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into AI frontiers. And to all our listeners out there, keep those minds curious and stay tuned for more.